Hello, I'm Nancy, and welcome to Soul Talk, where we explore the soul in all things. Sandy, Diane, and Nancy join me to talk about our understanding of the fifth kingdom of earth, the kingdom of souls. Let's begin with some definitions and readings by Sandy and Nancy.
The concept of the five kingdoms that we're referring to is often used in a philosophical or spiritual connection rather than as a scientific expression. So to us, the mineral kingdom represents the inorganic world, including minerals, rocks, and the earth itself. The plant kingdom encompasses all plant life, from the smallest moss to the largest trees. Even with animals, from insects to mammals, are included in the animal kingdom. And humanity, encompassing the unique qualities and potential of human beings, is referred to as the human kingdom. And then the spiritual, or sometimes called the fifth kingdom, represents the realm of the soul, the spirit, and higher consciousness. Isn't that lovely?
Yeah, thank you.
Very lovely.
Yeah, yeah. Nancy, you have a quote that you'd like to share?
Yes, there's this wonderful quote from the great Pythagoras, the Greek philosopher and mathematician and other things, who lived 2,500 years ago. And this is what he had to say in echoing what Sandy just said. Consciousness sleeps in the stone, dreams in the plant, awakes in the animal, slowly becomes aware of itself in man and woman, and eventually becomes divine in the kingdom of souls.
Yeah, beautiful.
That is.
You have
Amazing summary of the whole evolution of consciousness.
I know. You have something else to read for us, don't you, Nancy, about the Fifth Kingdom?
Yes, I'd like to read a couple of excerpts from an article entitled The Fifth Kingdom and the New World. Achieving the goal of creating a heaven on earth will depend upon unleashing the dormant capacities of the soul and dedicating these energies to building a bridge of light between the seen and unseen worlds, linking the divine and the human. By closing the gap between the fourth and fifth kingdoms, the human and spiritual, humanity will activate a living chain of planetary consciousness, enabling the descent of divine energies into the life stream of the planet. The light, love, and purposes of God, the planetary logos, will flow into all of its tributaries. As divine ideas propelling the forces of evolution become rooted in human minds and hearts, a new civilization will arise. Illumined by spiritual beings, imbued with the love and wisdom of the human soul, it will be a world that will embody justice, freedom, responsibility, compassion, grace, beauty, harmony, and peace. From our present vantage point, It would seem to require a great leap of faith to envision such a future. Yet the wisdom teachings foretell about the coming age and that it has already begun to materialize. We can observe it in evolving relations between humanity and the lesser kingdoms, the plant and animal kingdoms. And we can also observe it in new tendrils of connection between humanity and the spiritual kingdom. The soul's awakening is merely the first stage of a transformative process that leads inexorably over time into living contact with the kingdom of souls. Now, standing on the cusp of a new age in these extraordinary times, we're discovering the actuality of this higher realm. For the first time in the evolution of our race, the existence of a higher kingdom is becoming validated from within by more than a lone individual as it was in times past. The imploding light of higher consciousness is spreading among souls who walk the path that transforms one's identity from matter into spirit. Along this path, the dedicated seeker comes to know that higher beings in unseen realms are actively nurturing our latent capacities for love, wisdom, and responsiveness to divine purpose, preparing us to play our part in the actualization of a new world.
Oh,
Thank you.
Lovely.
thank you so much.
Oh,
That was so beautiful. I got chills just listening to it. I'm going to put
Yes.
we're going to put a link. It's an article from this website called When the Soul Awakens. So you'll find a link in the comments. I mean, in the description. Thank you so much. The awakening of the higher self leads inevitably to the spiritual path by which humanity evolves and ultimately leads into the kingdom of souls. Well, I'd like to start out by telling a brief story about an experience I had. This was many years ago in New York, and an experience of realizing the kingdom of souls was in New York City. So it was summer. Was I think the context, the background is important, and because I was serving in a group called Direct Centering, which was about going straight to the heart. And what we did was we supported each other in letting go of attachments. And, whereas today we say, we feel the light coming in, we bring the light in. Back in those days, this is the 1980s, we used to let go of attachments. And then we'd say, do you feel lighter? So we felt lighter by letting go because, that was a much denser time. So it was in the afternoon, and I was having to, part of the thing was you had to call people and invite them to this event on the weekend called Getting Completion. So I called everybody I knew already, and I had my address book, and I was like, oh God, I have nobody left to call. The thing was you had to call people. So I went through it again, and I found somebody that I thought, okay, I'll give this person a call. It was a client. I hadn't seen him in a year. I didn't know this person well, but I thought, give him a call. Because, if you're assisting or serving, you go forward. You just go out to people because it's not for you. You're giving something. Okay. So he was very happy to hear from me, and he wanted to see me after I was assisting, which was late at night, 10 o'clock. So I thought, oh, all right. So that I just had to give that bit of background because I didn't know this person very well. So I'm outside. He picks me up, and he gives me a hug like I was his long lost love, which was very weird, but very nice. So I thought, oh, okay, that's strange. So I get in the car, and then the strangeness really started happening. It was like his energy was very different. I don't remember using the word frequency in those days, but his frequencies were very differently, and the car was very different. The whole energy was different. It was like all the light, we were driving downtown and all the lights were green. I don't know if they actually were or not, but it felt like it. And it felt so strange. It was like the car wasn't moving, the streets were moving. So I knew something was weird, but very nice weird. So then we go to a restaurant, and it was like we were enclosed in our own bubble. I didn't, I saw people, but I didn't hear them. It was like we were enclosed in our own bubble of energy. So then but I wasn't hungry or thirsty, because it was the kind of thing where you don't, you don't feel hungry or thirsty. It was, I wouldn't call it otherworldly, but it was just different. Okay. So then we go outside for a walk in Soho. And it was like, this was so incredible. I'm feeling, happy and sort of in a state of wonderment. I didn't want it to end. So I thought, okay, let me stop and look in a shop window. Well, that moment of looking, like taking myself away from this person and away from what was happening, looking in the shop window, it suddenly occurred to me, and I'd never said this out loud or to anybody else before. I said, this is the kingdom of, this is the kingdom of heaven, because you know it when you feel it. It's like anything. I had never felt that before, but I knew that had to be it. At whatever level I was at that moment, that was the kingdom of heaven. And it was incredible, because I was in New York and everything looked the same as it always does. But my consciousness was different. You see, this is what I meant to say. I thought the kingdom of heaven was someplace, up there, far away. You go there when you die, or uh well, I didn't know that you could have it as a level of consciousness wherever you are. So, but I know that now, but I don't know who knew that then. But then, okay, then, that's the end of that story. But I just want to share that, where I never saw this person again, even though I wanted to. It just wasn't available. But I was a painter. My paintings changed. And over the next few years, I was led towards uh, wanting to find union with my soul. And then I was led to the spiritual path.
That was so wonderful to hear. So beautiful. I
Mm.
resonate with everyone and the definitions, and especially with you, Nancy Wait, because there's such a difference between the awakening of the soul. Your experience seems to be very joyous. The experience for me came about through living life, trying to follow all the definitions that had been given to acquire a better life, a more spiritual life, but yet there was a lot of pain involved. So the experience of the pain that my life took me through, which I I appreciate because it had a tendency to strengthen me, brought me to a point where I called out, there's got to be more than this. There has got to be more than this. And that, in fact, was a call to your soul. But I remember in life looking at a picture painted by an Asian artist. And in that picture, there was the scenery, and then across from the scenery was a painter. And I think the teacher told me that within the Asian art, the artist always includes themselves within the picture. So
Hmm.
they are not part or separate from it. And I thought about that and I said, the creator is part of the creation.
Mhm.
And I took that further to understand that that which created us is connected to us and we're connected to it. And that brings about the definition of my soul. Because I always noticed that within the culture that I came from, they seem to define soul in different ways. Maybe it had, something to do with a rhythm or feeling, had something to do with feeling. And and they would say, well, you don't have any soul. And I couldn't figure that out. Because if I had soul, you had to have soul. Maybe your soul was different from mine. And that's what I came to, that that which created us is connected to us and we're connected to it at all times. We receive guidance from it. We hear a voice sometimes that gives us intuitive knowledge. We may follow it, we may not, who knows, but to recognize that it is the creator, for me it was my recognition. It made me feel more comfortable because I always knew that there was this guidance that I could turn to whenever I needed it. And as I asked that question and started to ponder the answer, I was then guided on a path that led me closer, or wanted me to be more conscious of that which created me. And I used to refer to that as God. Oh, God is always in contact with me and blah blah blah, not understanding that there's the hierarchy.
Mhm.
And that in order to go higher, you have to purify yourself or release that which is within the world that we live in. And so the higher I go in consciousness of the creator, for me, the more I recognize that I'm entering into a new realm of being. I refer to that as the kingdom of souls, because every being which the creator creates now comes together as one. I can connect to it, it can connect to me. I use the kingdom of souls more or less as a means of communication with all other things, depending on my desire to connect with it. And I recognize that I can connect with everything and everyone through this means of the kingdom of souls. And so I live my life now, each day, opening my heart, because there has to be the love that connects you to that source. And that source that created you is the essence of love. That's how I know what it is for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got it. Yeah, you got it.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Mm, huh.
Well, Diane, you said so much. There's so many things that one could respond to in what you've just said, but um, one of the keys, I think, is that you mentioned purification, right? That we go through a process of purification. And that's really the essence of the path that transforms us from personality consciousness to soul consciousness, which is our essence, which is our divine essence. But we don't know that when we're living on the plane where most of humanity lives. We just don't know it. And the path, those of us who are led to the path, by the way, always, I think, uh, Diane, through some kind of unhappiness, some kind of trauma in life. I think that's what leads us to the breakthrough, for the light to come through, that there's something greater than what we see out here. Um, at any rate, the path of transformation, a big part of it is purification of the dross of the human personality, so that the soul can shine through more and more. And the more it shines through, the closer we grow toward the kingdom of souls, because it's a vibrational thing, as Nancy mentioned earlier, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're cleansing what needs to be cleansed, removing it from the personality, so that our divine nature can shine through. And
Could
it's
you
the
could you could you mention what you mean by purification more? Could you be a little specific about it? About
well,
what kind of
everything that separates us from the whole of life, whether it be self-interest, greed, ambition, all the things that the personality believes it is as a separate human being here on earth
right.
to possibly, I don't know, make more money, have more power, have more prestige, all of that whole baggage that
Yeah.
comes with the personality is what has to be removed, because the soul operates in unity. The soul realizes that we are all interconnected. And the reason is because the soul is made of spirit as well as matter. It's a marriage of spirit and matter. And
Yeah,
we're talking about really the spiritual realm,
right,
entering the spiritual realm where there is no separation. And
right.
that requires that we remove all the things, all the personality characteristics and drives and motives that would separate us from
Hmm.
You know,
spirit.
I was thinking about those things which, as you said, Nancy, separate us from spirit. And it seems that we came into this world with the five senses, which enables us to perceive so many things, and we get distracted by it. It's almost like we're children in a candy store. I want that, I want that, I want this, and I want the other. And we keep thinking that these things which are outside of ourself will bring us the joy, the happiness, the love that we all seek. And that's why we're, you know, aside from the greed and the power, because there are all types of stimulus that pull us one way or the other. We're like a boat without an anchor. Whichever way the wind blows, we'll go that way and the other. But the thing about the physical world and us being able to perceive it with our senses is that we have the lighter aspects and the darker aspects. We achieve or acquire what it is we think our heart desires most, and we get it, and then slowly it slips away. And then
Mhm.
once it slips away, we look for something else. And we go after it, we achieve it, and we find, oh yes, this is wonderful. And then the desire and joy of it slowly slips away. And that's one of the aspects of the physical world. Things come and they go. They're never eternal. And the only time that we can find that joy, which is everlasting, always there, is when we close our eyes, no longer seeking those physical things, and go within and deal with the spirit that has always been there, waiting for us to discover
Mm.
it. And once we do, we can find the joy, even if it's fleeting. It doesn't last continually. It's like you say, Nancy, you have to grow into it in consciousness, and you have to let go. And that's more or less the purification. Let go of the pain, let go of the desires, and seek more so to connect with spirit source. At least that it is for me.
Right, right. And well, I find that when the heart opens, when my heart is open, I love. I love everyone, everything, life. I love myself. For me, that's the purification because I let go of anything, everything that I want for me, any selfish desires, any,
Mm.
I recognize it and I can let go of it because it's not part of love. So when I think of purification, it's different for each of us. Some people have a need to purify the body in a certain way, do certain things. It's like some people need to do yoga. We all have whatever it is that we resonate with, that we respond to in a physical, spiritual way. For me, it's about whatever connects you to your inner being, uh, your soul, that the inner self. That is, and then you open up, the inner world within opens up, and so much of the other stuff just floats away because it loses its importance. But you could still love the world for loving what they love, because this whole thing. This is why I love the stone and the plant and the animal, the human and the spirit, is because it's a process of evolution. You know, we're all growing and developing at our own rates, at our own time, and the beauty is that we've got this beautiful thing to look forward to, the connection with spirit, and to know that that's where the human race is headed for. And in one sense, I don't know, I just heard that recently, that we become the mediators. Oh yeah, I heard that in Meditations for the Soul, which is great. It's every Wednesday on I'll put that in the description as well, because it's I've learned a lot about, the humans will become mediators between the animal kingdom, the human kingdom, and the spirit kingdom, and the kingdom of heaven. I'm not going to say this very well, but it's coming down. I can't explain it. It's descending, and we're rising, and we're going to meet in the middle, and it's going to be heaven on earth. That's my understanding. I'm sure somebody else could explain it much better. You know what I mean, though.
I was thinking about that and wondering, with the energy that is being radiated on the earth, and we hear so much of those who are channeling higher spirits from higher realms, that humanity itself is going through an evolution, and everything will be changing and shifting. And so I was just wondering, you know this was a conversation that I would always have with my sister, and she was so, her experience wanted her to enjoy more of the earth, all of the experience of the earth, and my desire was to transcend the earth. And it was so interesting. All the time she was saying, well, don't you want to experience more? And I was saying, no, I don't. I've had my fill. And I came to the conclusion that it's because, for me, my understanding is I have lived so many lifetimes. And I remember my girlfriend said her grandmother, they were saying, Granny, don't you want to say? She said, no, this life is like, you go to a movie with your friend and it was really nice and you enjoyed it. You had such a good time. And then, your sister says, next week, don't you want to go see this movie? And it's the same movie, and you go with her, and it was nice, but you enjoyed it before, and then someone else asked you to go a third time, and it's like, no, I'm tired, I've already seen it, what else is there to see? Let me go see something else. And that always stuck with me, because that's kind of like life. If you live it
Yeah.
so many times, after a while you seek something else,
Right.
and based on how much your desire is for that something else, that higher, you're willing to let go of the physical life here, because it really doesn't have any more attraction for you. You're
That's right.
definitely seeking and looking for that more, that other. And some of us, like you say, we're all at different points, and we are traveling at different speeds, and we're at different levels, but we're all going to the same place, you know. We'll all get there.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
And the
what you're just, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say what Diana is describing is sort of the classical description of the moment when a seeker becomes a someone ready and willing to tread the path. The satiation that occurs with material life when there's nothing else here that attracts you. It's just all, superficial compared to what the soul really longs for, which is connectedness with spirit, with love,
Yes.
wisdom, with all the dimensions of the spiritual world. And that's what happens when we just get tired. We realize we're playing the same record over and over again, and we don't want to hear it anymore. We get tired of it,
Exactly.
and we yearn for something more. And then we're led, step by step, we're led into the 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 path that
Yeah.
each follows to the same
Mhm.
destination, no matter what the path contains for an individual, no matter what culture it comes from, no matter what
Mhm.
religion, the destination is the same. And the path is essentially the same in all the major religions.
Mm.
The path that brings us to resonance with the higher kingdom and connectedness with the higher kingdom. And that's what the fact that more and more people are stepping onto this path is what is going to change our world.
That's the truth. That's the absolute truth. Yeah, they say that more and more people are awakening and realizing what's going on and who they are and where we're going because you know the way we've been living it's become unsustainable, the destruction on the planet and the climate change. It's just everybody's aware of it, and we know that we have to change, and that if we don't change, it's going to change for us because life is change, especially this
Exactly.
planet.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
People don't even recognize that climate change is a manifestation of the energy that they're emitting into the environment. All the
I'm
separation,
Yeah,
all the hatred, the anger. Oh, and it's causing the turmoil and the changes in our climate. It's just mirroring what we're putting out.
I've heard that. I've heard that. Yeah. A tornado is, you know, all this
It,
wild energy is creating wild weather.
right,
Yeah. Yeah, I've
exactly.
heard that. Heard that. Mm.
Because it's and well, it's not, I mean, I take responsibility for it, but our environment, our cultures, the planet, all over the planet, those that govern, they are causing or emitting energies, and the movies are violent, the
I know.
and people, children, all of us are being influenced by it. The
Yeah,
separation between you and me and mine and
I know.
yours, and
I know.
all of this is
Scarcity.
causing
Yeah,
it
I
is.
know. I know. I
Mhm.
know. It's gone wild. And one thing we have to let go of is fear. Fear of change, fear of one another. And but this is one of the things, when you start going within, exploring the spiritual path, then it's you grow, you start growing on another level because we grow physically, we age, and then the body reaches a point, then it starts to break down. But there's something, but we know that we're eternal. There's something within, unless it's been very suppressed. We know that there's something, and it's that divine spark, that 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 bit of eternity that we know because we look at the stars and the moon, and we know that we're part of that. And I hear, great things we're in the planet and humanity, and we're in for great things. I think you've heard that too.
Yes,
Yeah.
And
yes.
that, yeah. And so it's so wonderful to talk about these things too, isn't it? Soul
It is.
talk, because we're bringing it, the more we bring it out and talk about it, and it does me a lot of good to talk about it, just to share.
It does. We're
Yes.
all connected and have the same questions in slightly different ways. And so to have this forum where we can express, it's a benefit to each of us. And for those who listen, I'm sure it'll be a benefit to them.
Yeah.
Well, if they'd like to tune in, or tune out from some of the craziness that's going on out there, and tune into the soul. So, I hope that people will, if they have any questions, you can leave your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. So, thank you for watching. We're going to leave you with a meme. After the meme, don't go away, because there's going to be a short reel on about the kingdoms. Okay, thank you. By turning our eyes toward the inner realms, we discover the nature of the kingdom of souls and experience the joy and beauty of our own souls. Thank you, everyone. Life on Earth has evolved through the mineral, plant, animal, and human realms. We are now poised to expand into the fifth, the subtler realm of the soul, where we face a leap across a chasm that requires a bridge in consciousness.